One question that I get asked fairly often by clients is whether they should take or whether they should defer their UK state pension. And the answer, as you might imagine, isn't entirely straightforward and does depend on your circumstances. Even if you're not at state pension age yet, it's worth being aware of these considerations so you can plan ahead effectively. Because although the state pension may not be enough on its own to live a life of abundance, it's still an important part of most people's retirement income planning. What I'm going to do in this video is explain in simple terms the maths behind making the right decision for yourself. So the topics that we'll cover are the rules now versus what they were prior to 6th of April 2016 and what you get for deferring, how to work out your break-even point if you do defer your state pension, and a comparison of taking pension benefits immediately versus deferring them. If you're here for the first time, I'm Bourne and I'm a financial planner from the UK specialising in helping people achieve tax-efficient financial independence in retirement. So if you need some of that in your life, then don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications. With all that said, let's get into it. The first thing to say about the state pension is that you don't just get paid it automatically. You have to actually claim it by completing a government form, and if you don't do that, it will just be deferred automatically. Some people choose to defer of their own volition though, usually because they're still earning and don't really need the income. But is that actually a good idea? Well, it's important to understand that a few things changed from the 6th of April 2016 when the new state pension rules commenced. Generally speaking, although the full weekly payment of currently £179.60 a week is higher than the previous basic state pension of £137.60 a week, the deferral terms aren't as generous if you became or become eligible for the state pension after the 6th of April 2016. If you were eligible before that date, for every 5 full weeks you defer taking your state pension, it increases by 1%. That means that if you deferred for a complete year, you'd receive an uplift of 10.4% to your income. On a basic state pension of £137.60, that's an increase of £14.31 a week for a year's deferral. That could be more, of course, though, if the base pension increases as a result of the triple lock, which is essentially a double lock for the next year or so because the government has temporarily suspended the link to average earnings increases. Under the new regime, however, you get a 1% increase for every 9 weeks deferred, which equates to 5.8% a year, almost half of the previous uplift. So if you were receiving £179.60 a week, that would be an increase of £10.42 for a year's deferral. Once again, the actual uplift could be higher if the pension payment increases via the triple lock. That's not the only thing that's changed though. Those eligible for their state pension before the 6th of April 2016 can take the deferred amount as a lump sum of cash, which has interest applied to it at the Bank of England base rate plus 2%. The payment is taxed at your marginal rate, however, so you need to be aware of that. But for those becoming eligible for their state pension since the 6th of April 2016, it hasn't been possible to receive a lump sum cash payment. Only an income uplift is possible. It was also previously possible for your spouse to inherit your deferred state pension uplift if you died while you were in deferment, but unfortunately that's no longer possible either for those who've reached state pension age in the last 5 years. How do you determine whether it's worth deferring your state pension or not then? Well, the starting point is working out how much you didn't receive during the period that your income was deferred, and then how long it would take to actually recoup that with the uplift applied once you do start taking the income. That is your break-even point. Under the pre-6th of April 2016 regime, 1 year's deferral would take 9.6 years for you to get back. So by your mid-70s, you'd be in positive territory. Under the post-6th of April 2016 regime, though, the same deferment would take 17.25 years to recoup, meaning you'd be getting towards your mid-80s before even breaking even. If you were to take the unneeded income straight away though, what you do with that income makes a big difference, as you can probably imagine. Just leaving it in some kind of deposit account with a bank or building society will mean that it won't grow very much at all and will probably lose spending power. So what else can you do with it instead? Well, the first consideration would probably be reinvesting the income as private pension contributions. The state pension is, of course, a taxable income. So assuming that you don't want to take the pension because you're still earning and all of it would be subject to tax, making pension contributions is a good way of reclaiming that tax. Let's say you were getting the new full state pension amount of £9,339 a year and you were a basic rate taxpayer, paying 20% tax on all of that. Your net income would be £7,471 a year. Paying that amount into a pension would qualify for basic rate tax relief at source though, meaning HMRC would add 25% on top of your contributions. So £7,471 plus 25% is £9,339. That's the amount that would be invested over the year for you. You've reclaimed all of the tax paid and your situation is now tax neutral. Now you would have to pay some tax when accessing the benefits from that private pension. But don't forget that you are entitled to access 25% of the private pension's value tax-free as a tax-free lump sum, whereas all of the state pension income is taxable. Also, the money you pay in can be invested and grow for you. It may not achieve the same growth level you're getting in deferment. I'd probably say it would be very hard pushed to match the 10.4% increase you got under the pre-April 16 rules. But you are able to access the money you've put aside at any time, rather than having to wait over 9 years to see the benefit. And finally, money in a personal pension environment is sheltered from inheritance tax if that is or becomes an issue to you in the future. If you were a higher or additional rate taxpayer, you could claim tax relief on pension contributions at those higher rates by completing a tax self-assessment, so the position would still be tax neutral. It might not be possible to make pension contributions of the full state pension amount though, if any of the following applied, for example. You don't have salary at least equal to the gross contribution you're looking to make, i.e. £9,339. Now this could be the case if most of your income comes from property rentals or dividends, for example. You're already maxing out your pension contribution annual allowance of £40,000 a year, or your company is on your behalf. Or you've taken some flexible pension income already through something like Flexi Access Drawdown, and your annual contribution allowance has been reduced to the £4,000 level. It would still be worth considering whatever pension contributions you are allowed to make though. And also consider making pension contributions for a spouse, because there could be some very good tax planning opportunities there, especially if they haven't already got much in a private pension environment themselves. Beyond pensions, of course, there are ISAs to consider. You don't get tax relief on the contributions going in like you do with pensions, but your money can still be invested and grow like it can in a pension, and ISAs shelter you completely from any tax on the gains you've made when taking money out. That list of options isn't exhaustive, by the way. There are plenty of other ways that you could invest money. VCTs, venture capital trusts, can even be worthy of consideration, as they do give some of the benefits of pensions in the way of tax relief, with some of the benefits of ISAs in the way of tax-free access to your income and gains in the future. They are higher risk though, so may warrant more careful consideration, but as you can see, there are plenty of options that you can go for. So working out how long it will take to recoup the income that you defer is relatively easy. What's not easy is knowing how long you're going to live for. It's clear that the pre-April 16 rules for income deferral were more generous with that 10.4% uplift. And some people would still say that a guaranteed inflation-linked increase to your income of 5.8% a year is good compared to interest rates and inflation. For me though, the fact that you have to give up money in your pocket now and wait over 17 years to see the benefit of that decision makes it poor value for most people. There's no guarantee that taking the money and investing it would lead to a better outcome, but you'd certainly give yourself more flexibility and more tax planning opportunities.